Yay. Oh my gosh. People were already commenting before we even started on our little advertisement for this. So, hi, everybody. I'm back with Poochie. Really quick, Poochie, do you want to introduce yourself for the girls that didn't watch your first interview with us?
Hi, how you doing? My name is Jose Sabato Jr. And she said 5 months. It's 6 months now.
Oh,
Um, uh, I like this. Is my little tagline. Everybody who loves me calls me Poochie. So, please feel free because I spread the love.
awesome. Okay. So, tonight, you guys, last time we did kind of a freestyle interview. Tonight, we picked a topic because we got so many questions from the women about the emotions that their loved ones are feeling on the inside and they didn't know how to respond or react to them. And since Poochie has firsthand experience from the inside and dealing with those emotions and dealing with loved ones on the outside, we figured we would base this video around that topic. So we'll let Poochie talk first. And then if you guys have questions, we could do it just like last time, just type them in and then we'll do a Q&A type of a video.
Okay, how's everybody doing? I'm just trying to share this and I'm having a hard time, so bear with me. Second,
I wonder, can I share it while you're talking?
maybe. Share it on my page.
Can I share it with a friend? Yeah, I'll try.
Well, we're talking about, we touched on it the first time that Ro interviewed me. And we're talking a little bit about just kind of how to manage our emotions and help manage our emotions, and in the process, kind of manage your own emotions. This is for men or women with family members that are away on a little hiatus, like I was for a few years. Um, Sometimes it's so many different factors that come into play when we're away, and like our solace comes from calling home and from visits and from being able to just communicate with our loved ones. So when we do call home, and sometimes it's a little, like, I don't know, you pick up on vibes, you pick up on your loved ones vibes, you know them well, and sometimes we just call just to get away from the BS of being inside, and a lot of times we get faced by our loved ones, unbeknownst to them. They don't know that they're adding to our stress inside, and they just tell us, life problems and everything, but inside we deal with so many different things, like the COs and the recalls and all types of things that we can't control. That calling home is like a getaway. Them little 15 minutes, that's all you get in federal prison. It's 15 minutes at a time on the phone, and those little 15 minutes are like a getaway. So we just call home to maybe to smile for a few minutes, and to just hear how your day's going, to hear how the days function, like how your day goes on a, I don't know, on a day by day basis, like what kind of week you're having, stuff like that. So it's so hard, and I've experienced this firsthand, like Rose said. It's so hard sometimes to express ourselves to our loved ones, because I mean, if you haven't been in prison, you can't really relate. So that ear to bend, and that positive reinforcement when we are talking about whatever the situation may be, even if you don't understand it, but just trying to understand, or even asking, how do I understand, like, to help me. I'm inside and you're my loved one. You just ask me how I can help you or how I can make you understand. That just goes a long way, because it just shows genuine interest when we're at, like, I mean, that's rock bottom for a lot of people. For most of us, is rock bottom. So just to want to be interested, like to seem interested in what it is we're doing, and kind of encourage us and help us move forward with communication.
Oh, here's a good question. So, Khalil says, why does the person always think you're cheating on them? And why does that always come up?
Insecurity. I mean, imagine we have is that's a woman asking.
Yes, I believe so.
Um, I mean, cause you might know each other intimately if you had a relationship prior to being incarcerated. They might know how I mean your drive. They're familiar with your nuances of how you like to be caressed or whatever the case may be. So now for us to be away for so long and know that you're not getting this from me, your significant other. I mean, the mind plays tricks when we have a lot of time to think. So that's just it. And I mean, it's really torture on yourself when you even question that. When you ask a girl that, I think it's just torture because, I mean, it's hard to even, you have to have a real strong bond to completely take what they say to be honest. Because, I mean, we have needs.
So I had a woman today who was really upset, and this happens to me often, and it happens to so many of our members all the time. And she's like, I feel like I'm just running on a hamster wheel out here. I feel like every day's the same. I feel like I'm over it. Sometimes you just feel over it. So what advice would you give to her as far as handling her emotions while she's also trying to manage his emotions? It's a lot going on for us to kind of juggle out here when sometimes you don't want him to know that you're struggling so badly. Do you suggest that she tells him, that she doesn't? What do you think?
Tell him
that she's struggling and she's like at her wit's end almost.
That's hard. I mean, that depends on the bond. It always depends on how close you are with your person, how comfortable you are with sharing. I always like to say, like, to be honest with the people you love, it takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of courage to be honest with the people you love and to really tell someone that she's at the end, that her breaking point, you mean? Like, she just wants to.
I mean, sometimes, here's what it is. And Heather just said, she's like, I'm overwhelmed and I don't want to give up, but sometimes it's just really hard. And I think that's what happens to a lot of us is some days you just wake up and you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. And genuinely in your heart, you don't not want to do it anymore. You want to keep going, but it's just so hard. So should she tell him that? Because in a couple of days, it'll probably pass and she'll be okay for a few weeks. And so, in those instances, how do you think she should handle that?
Oh man, how does she handle those moments? Just tell her, be completely honest that you don't want out of the situation, but there's days that you feel like you want out of the situation because we go through it too. There's days that we're like, we just want to be engulfed with our situation and we don't want any contact with the outside. And because sometimes it's torturous. Sometimes it's like, damn, I call home and I miss my girl and I miss my family. If I press the off button, then I can just kind of live in my situation right now without making anybody worry. And if it's someone who really cares about their significant other, their family, you're always concerned with the stress you're putting on your people with because us being in prison, it's of course in the beginning it's very stressful. But after you're in there, we get used to it. You do 5, 6, 7, 10 years. It's just normal life. It's everyday life. So the stress is the most stress we get is the stress we put on our families. Like knowing that they have to worry about like your mother, your wife, your parents, whoever it is, they worry about, is he okay? Does he need money? And these are the stresses that we don't like to put on our family. So it goes both ways. So it's really about just communicating that because it's just having a strong, open line of communication to where you can tell each other things and not be judgmental, not jump to conclusions, and just be able to kind of talk through the problems. Because I mean, unless you live real close and you visit like every 3-4 times a week, your relationship is on the phone for the most part, through letters and on the phone. So that communication has to be clear. It has to be transparent. That's the key, to have transparent communication and for it to last.
Yeah. And here's what I said. My answer is written on the wall, but just to help the other women that are experiencing it from somebody who's going through it with them, is that sometimes it happens to me. I mean, we're women, we're emotional creatures. We might have a bad day at work. We might be hormonal. It could be the kids had a bad day at school. There be the teacher called, something like that happened. And it's not necessarily your relationship. So if it's something that you feel like it's going to last a couple days, I don't necessarily always tell him, because that's just going to put him in a position where he's like freaking out, she's leaving. Because obviously somebody just posted it. It's very common for the guys on the inside to assume the worst. But if it lasts over a week, then I will talk through it with him. But this is why at SPWF, we always preach self-love, self-care, and shameless plug, we do have some products coming out in the fall that are going to, and programs that are going to help with all of that kind of stuff and doing self-love and self-care around this type of a relationship. But focus on you, reevaluate every day. And if it's time to check out, then it's time to check out. But just letting yourself off the hook by saying that is usually enough for it to spark, oh, I don't want to check out. You know, these are all the reasons why I want to stay with him. And usually he'll remind you in a couple of days. But if it's time to go, it's time to go. No one's holding a gun to your head and saying you have to stay. That's my opinion. But you touched on something before. You said the earliest time is the hardest time, getting used to it in the beginning. And we have a lot of, I think 100% of the women that I've ever coached through this that started this with him and didn't meet him while he was inside have gone through an experience within the first few weeks, within the first few months, where he tries to push her away and he tells her he doesn't want to have anything to do with her. So can you talk through that with us and how she should handle that? Because I think like 99% of the women that I've coached, the guy always comes back. He doesn't necessarily mean it. It's just kind of him adapting.
The beginning, that's so key. Like what you were saying about that feeling about wanting to run away or trying to just leave it, that's that whole situation, that feeling in the beginning. Because like for you to really take time out, even if it's without communication, it's so hard to not have communication in the beginning with your spouse or your loved one. But take that time out and really like think about the situation. Like, how much time is he gonna get? Like, is he in the county? How much time is he facing? Am I really ready to do this? Because it's not fair to anyone involved. For you to act like you're gonna stay the whole time. And I know things change, but it would be so much easier to just let it go early. And it's almost impossible actually to do that, because you're together every single day in a relationship and then you get took away. So now you're in a situation where you don't see each other. Now you miss each other. Now you're thinking about, what's going to happen. So that beginning, man, it's just, just give the support you can. And honestly, don't get caught in everything that he's saying. Because, okay, let's say it's the first time. It was my first time when I went away. And I have no experience with the legal system and what goes on. So now I'm listening to everybody else's stories and what I should do. And honestly, everybody, you want to get out. It's like you'll do anything to get the least time possible for most people. So now people are going to recommend lawyers and somebody has to be the rational person, because at that moment we're real emotional. We're dealing with a lot of emotions, like, oh my God, what's going to happen? What do I do? Should I spend money on a lawyer? So if it's possible, and especially in federal prison where I was at, unless you're going to trial and you're going to spend a lot of money on a lawyer, it's better to stick with a public defender, because you can't really, there's not too much wiggle room in the federal system. So you have to kind of, it's hard to be rational, but somebody has to be the rational one and not blow money on the lawyer and not just don't succumb to his every whim. Like, send money here or do this here, because if you do have to do a little stretch, I did 10 years in federal prison, and I was young when I went in, and money went fast because of, it's hard to transition from your lifestyle. If you were in the streets, you were spending a lot of money. If you were like hustling, So now when you're in prison, the lifestyle, the way you used to live doesn't really change. So now you want all the sneakers on commissary, you want to gamble, you still want to do all the things you used to do to kind of have that same feeling. So now, but money gets blown like this, money's not coming in anymore. So somebody has to be the rational person in the situation. So if you plan on sticking with your man through his bid or with your girl through her bid, try in the beginning, it's very important to be rational about the way money's going to be spent, about and be honest with each other about how much time. Do your own research on cases like his. That would be ideal. Give him pointers, because don't let him get a lot of information from guys in prison. It would be coming from you. It'd be like, oh my gosh, she's really that's showing him that you're really on his side, for one. Like you doing research on cases that were similar. Look, read this, check this out. That would just reinforce his belief in that you're really gonna ride with him. That's one. And if you're not sure, let him go. If you're not sure, cut it off early as possible. The reason we try to push away, it's one. Well, with me, I feel like I let everybody down. When I went to prison, I feel like I let everybody down. So especially with your woman, with your significant other, your girl who you live with, and now you went to prison. It's almost like you just want her to be happy. If someone really loves you, they just want you to be happy, ultimately happy. And I can't make you happy from prison if I'm doing 10, 15 years. That's almost impossible. I can make you happy at moments, but I can't give you everything that you deserve as probably the mother of my children or the wife that you were. So now that's a lot of times the reason that we try to nix the relationship from the beginning, is so it can be fair, so you can like create your life. Is it really fair to expect someone to do 20 years or 15, even 10, 5 years with you while you're in prison? I don't believe that's fair.
Such wise insight. And I love all of the diversity in this group, because we have girls that aren't even sentenced yet, and somebody just wrote they did 20 years. Somebody's facing 2.5. So many different people on so many different walks of their journey. So this is so helpful. We got a question from Anna, and it went really fast, so hopefully I'm reading it right. And side note, you guys, if you posted a question, I didn't read it, I might have just missed it. They're kind of going fast. So if we didn't get to it, repost it. I'm not picking and choosing. I'm reading them as they come. So Anna said, and Anna, if I mess it up, just repost and let us know. But basically, I think she got with her guy shortly after he went in, and he says he loves her and he wants to be with her and marry her when he gets out. But in the meantime, he also wants to talk to other girls to get money and that kind of stuff. What's your advice or feelings on that?
They just met before she went in.
I think she said like within a few days. I don't know if it was after he or before he went in.
Oh. Okay, my reaction on that. I mean, how much does she believe him? It's really up to her. Does she trust him? Does she trust her woman's intuition about his authenticity, about what he's saying? Is he really being genuine with her and telling her the truth? Because is he saying that to the other girls too? Like, I don't know. Is he never asking her for money? Is he sending her some of this money? There's a lot of factors that come into play. When does she never have to send him money? Because he's has this and this is, please don't take this as a reflection of my integrity, because that's just something that is not nice to do, because I believe we pay for what we do, and you reap what you sow and shit and stuff like that. So I mean, it's really up to her. She knows him. How well does she know him? Does she believe him? And is she in a situation where she can tell him, don't do that, I have everything you need? Like, these are all factors that come into play. Now, if she can do that, and this will alleviate all the doubt, and she can, and then this will show her really what kind of person he is, I guess, to a certain extent.
I love that you use the phrase women's intuition, because we say that all the time, and to follow your gut, but it's one thing coming from us. It's another thing coming from a man, and a man that's walked the walk of our loved ones. So thank you for saying that. And my perspective, but I'm very different and I'm very old school, but I would be like, goodbye, because if I can't give you what you want, you're going to have to figure it out. Don't have the extras, because a lot of our members have found themselves in situations where they were the girl on the receiving end of being used. And so that just breaks my heart for those girls, especially somebody who's older and has been there and done that. And you know what, even if she's younger, because that's just going to scar her. So just remember, like Poochie said, karma, I think he said it before, but karma, it comes around. If you're going to treat somebody wrong and you're going to treat somebody outside of your values and your integrity, if it jives with you and that's what you want to do, just know it could be done to you, or it could be done to your daughter or your sister or your friend. So next question. What about the guys that are constantly picking fights, constantly trying to control, telling her what she's allowed to do, where she's allowed to go, what she's allowed to wear, that kind of stuff? Is that, do you believe, a direct effect of some sort of emotion that he's grappling with in there, being out of control, and he's trying to control something? How should she handle that? Because that happens to a lot of our girls.
Does she, how much does she really value his opinion? How much do you really value the opinion of this guy who's trying to control you when he has absolutely no control over what you can really do? That's kind of like a little bit what you mentioned before. There's some things that you won't tell them just because it's unnecessary. If you're going out on a Saturday at 10 when the phones turn off at 9:30, and you'll be home in 2 hours and 3 hours, and you know who you are as a person, there's no really need to cause this doubt in his head or just add unnecessary stress if you know what kind of person you're already dealing with. I mean, to what you wear, I mean, that's a little old-fashioned. Are you willing to put up with it? Do you love this person so much that you're going to put up with this stuff now from prison, and he's not going to change when he comes home, and it's going to be the same thing? Are you willing to deal with that while this whole time? And are you going to allow this person to control you so much so that, I mean, he's going to tell you what to wear? It's just, I don't know. I don't agree with it at all. I'd rather, I mean, you can't control someone from prison. That's just going to push you away. I think that ultimately is going to be a push away anyway. Regardless of how much you love someone, it could start like this. 2 years of that, and that relationship's probably going to deteriorate.
Cool. All right. So what about, we talked about the beginning of the relationship, the first 6 months. I've also seen for the ladies on the flip side who are towards the end of their sentence, when guys get short and they kind of get really stressed and anxious and funky. And sometimes they push them away too. At that point, can you talk about that a little bit?
Yep. I'm kind of in there, right? I mean, well, I'm on the plus side of that now. It's more of, it is anxiety. It's so many people you want to see. You want to see your family. My best advice for the woman of the guy who's released is, prior to him being released, ask him what he really wants. That you know all the promises he's made and all the sweet nothings that he said and how he wants to build his life. But now that you're coming home, is this really what you want? I mean, and just try to get clarity, get as much clarity and press the issue, because again, we don't like to hurt, especially someone who's been with me, did 5, 6, 7, even 2 years, whatever amount of time you did with me. I don't never want to hurt your feelings. I don't want to hurt your feelings. So you kind of have to be a little pushy. And this is the woman at home and the guy coming home. You have to be a little pushy and find out what it is that he really, really, really wants out of life. And I mean a little bit of space. And when I say space, I don't mean leave him alone, but we're so used to being alone in prison. There's guys around us, but we're used to being alone. So a lot of times, solitude is a way that we find just peace, our own little kind of peace. So don't always think that he's home now, like he's home, fresh home, a week or two, whatever. And because he wants to be alone or take a walk by himself, that doesn't mean he's trying to get away from you. It just means that he got so used to being alone and doing this for his own mental therapy that now this is kind of his way to transition back in and kind of um um just get reacclimated, because it's tough. It's really tough. It's tough. And just support, just a lot of support. That's what we need the most, is the support system. The support system is the biggest thing, like to prevent recidivism would be to have a strong support system. That's what I believe. And that little bit of space, and just ask. It's all about communication, I think. That's the best part. And if you're honest with each other, you're going to know what each other wants. And if you really built a strong relationship, even beforehand or while you were in prison, you know this person. So you should be able to pick up on their body language, their vibes, and know what it is they're really telling you. But just be pressy, I think. Press the issue about, look, you're about to come home. What's gonna happen? Like, and I'm here for you regardless, but I need clarity, and I need to know what it is. You need to sow your royal oats first before and if you're willing to accept that, then I mean, that's a little tough, but we're men and we've been away from a long time. That's just blatantly honest.
Yeah, and I think there's no right or wrong. I think you put that so perfectly. If she's willing to do that, then that's what's right for them. If she's not willing to do that, then that's not right for them. So well put. So I don't remember who said it, but somebody asked, what about when he's in his feelings and he starts giving her the silent treatment? What can she do to get him to break the silent treatment or anything?
Hold on, let me add one more thing to that last
one. Oh, yeah,
right?
Sure.
A lot of times we feel indebted. We feel like we owe because of how you've been there, how you wrote. Like, to make it clear to us coming home that we don't owe you that's huge, because sometimes we might just, our guilty conscience makes us want to like do things maybe I want to do, or be, this is what you want because I feel like I'm indebted to you. Make sense?
Yeah, complete sense. So much sense.
So clarity on that if you really care about them and you don't feel like they owe you, I mean, if you feel like they owe you, then that's a whole different story. But if you really don't feel like they owe you and you just want them to be happy and build a good life with them, please let them know that, because that's huge. That's real big.
That's awesome. Okay, so we just got 2 questions practically back to back that were very similar. How can we help from the outside prepare for his transition coming home? And then also, once he is transitioning home, how can we help him basically get out and stay out and not go back in?
It's things small as like getting a social security card if you can, birth certificate, having all that stuff like lined up. Maybe, what was the best thing for me was that I had a job. As soon as I got home on Thursday, and Tuesday I was working already, and I wasn't working earlier just because there's restrictions in the halfway house. So a job, if you can help employment, maybe through a family friend or something like that, anybody that just to have a job, to like running and kind of walk, like going to work. And us as men, you want to be a provider, and it doesn't matter how much you get paid. We have pennies in prison. Wow. So just to be producing and being able to contribute whatever, even if it's minimal, it kind of lets us, that's the biggest help in the transition. And that's just support. That's showing that you're there to support them, that you help them get a job. That's huge. Just little documents, stuff like social security, birth certificate, like just available to help them, take them maybe to DMV to get their license. Just have those little few days set up, because that just helps a lot.
So helpful.
That's the biggest thing. Like the job, your paperwork, like your birth certificate, social security, and food. When we first go, like your favorite food, that's like so key.
We're such fat kids because look at that smile, or smile. We talk about food. So how about this? This will be the last question because you guys, we don't want to take up too much of your time, and on the replay, we don't want to bore people being hours long. And we decided that we'll do this once a week if there's enough interest. And the way the questions were coming, obviously, it seems like there's plenty of interest. So we ask after this video, we'll pick a topic for each one, and you guys can come in and we'll talk about it and ask questions. So just go in the comments and let us know what you want us to talk about on the next video, and we'll pick a topic based off of the majority. But last question, I think this might be helpful for the girls. I know as a life coach, we're both life coaches. We talk about communication and what specific things look like to that other person. So for example, you talked about earlier, just be there for support, just support him. So I would suggest to our members to ask him, what does support look like to you? How can I be best supportive of you? And wait for that answer, because sometimes we think we know, but honestly, we have no idea what they need or want until we ask them and have them say it. So when you were inside, what did support look like to you?
Support was coming on my way home, or support while I'm inside?
Can we do both?
Okay, while I'm inside, support, like I mentioned this in the last interview, like pictures. Like I had a cousin who took me to every single one of my little birthday parties, all my little nieces and nephews' parties, and she didn't take me obviously physically, but she made sure to take a couple pictures at each one. My grandma, just keep me in tune with, and I watched all my little cousins grow up. Just that's huge support. That's huge support. Obviously, I mean, if it's possible, a little bit of money sometimes here and there. We don't really need a lot of money to live in there, honestly, but whatever you can, and you have this communication with them, and you figure out how much it is. Emails, now they have emails everywhere. So the letters are cool, but emails are a lot faster. And when we wake up, I mentioned this last time too, when we wake up and see that blue lit up, that we have emails, that really like gets your day going in a good, and positive emails in the morning. Anything, just like, I miss you, babe, I wish you, what the stuff that'll make you smile and just let you start your day on a good note. That's very helpful. That's on the inside. On the outside, it's just or this is in the transition from out to in, from in to out. I mean, just knowing that they have a place to go, that like food, and what else is it? Food, shelter, and like basic needs, like that their basic needs can be covered, at least for the small beginning of it. Have the support, if you're willing to do that, that means a lot, because really worry about that gives you so much room to really on all the things that are gonna get you back, that'll smooth your transition. That's key. That's very key. Clothes, like just clothes, shelter, and food. That's so important, and it's overlooked. So many guys don't have family. So many guys don't have anyone that they can count on, and to have that is that's the for real. And just be there, just being there for them. Kind of like my family is. I'm so grateful for my family the way they are, and they've made my transition smooth, so smooth.
Thank you so much. You've gotten so many, as you were talking, just so many comments saying thank you so much for doing this. Thank you so much for donating your time to us. We really appreciate it. Another girl said that she actually sent some of the comments from the last video to her husband, and they were super enlightening and helpful. So I'm going to interrupt myself. T. Marie wrote a comment that kind of broke my heart. She said, how can I support him when I'm not even getting support myself? And if you meant support as far as from other people outside, that's what we're here for. That's why I started this. That's what SPWF was born to do, because believe me, sweetheart, I was in those shoes. And it was so lonely and depressing for so many years before we had this support group. So if that's what you're talking about, please know that we're here for you, to lean on the people that you meet on the support group to help encourage you through, because we are going through what you're going through. We understand your feelings. If you need support from him Poochie, what you got for that?
Support from him.
Like, how could she support him if he's not supporting her? I don't know if that's what she meant, but if she did.
That's hard. That's hard. Does she really love this guy? Like, I mean, after you tell him, let's say you tell him once, and then you tell him twice, and then you tell him 3 times, that, I mean, we can't really do much from it. So the support, I'm assuming she's saying is maybe just reiterating how much he loves her, or maybe even it can go so much more than that. Like, we know, like, your incredible husband, my great friend, my brother Adam, like, he'll put together visions, he'll write all types of stuff, like, he'll plan. So that support is that's like priceless, because he even helps me out like that.
He is pretty amazing, I have to say myself.
Yeah. So
not that I'm biased or anything.
Yeah, right. So just, I mean, tell them that you need to be encouraged, that you need to hear, that you need to be motivated, because we can do that from prison. We can have conversations to motivate you, to encourage you, to just push you forward, and, you know, just remove that ceiling that a lot of people have, and help you remove that ceiling and let you know that the sky's the limit, and that you need to be everybody needs to be pushed a little bit to do better. We can always do a little better.
Yeah, and I also think it boils down to telling him what you need. Like we said before, ask him what he needs. Tell him what you need. He's not a mind reader. He doesn't know. And you can't be in a relationship if you're in something for the long haul and you want to be with this person for the rest of your life or for as long as you can. You can't be shy and you can't be scared to tell him how you feel and what you need. If he's not supporting you the way that you need to be supported, ask him for what you need. Tell him what you need. And if he's still not fulfilling it, then like Poochie said, do you really want to be in that relationship? You need to reevaluate. But you can't expect him to support you in the way you need to be supported if you're not telling him what that looks like. So make sure you guys comment and let us know what you want to see next week. Wait, next week is Thanksgiving, so we're not going to do next week on Thursday. Do you want to pick another day, or do you want to skip next week and start again in 2 weeks?
I'm sorry, I had a call.
Oh, that's okay. I said we'll be back next week, but then I realized as I was speaking, next week is Thanksgiving, so we're not going to be back next week on Thursday. So we can either pick another time, or we'll just skip next week and we'll start again in 2 weeks and go weekly on Thursdays. Cool?
2 weeks from today.
2 weeks from today. Okay. Okay. You guys, thank you so much for your love and support, Poochie, on behalf of all of the members of SBWF. We love you so much. Thank you so much for your words of encouragement and advice. Can't tell you how much we appreciate you. And we are looking forward to seeing you next week. Happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy your first one home in so long. I can't wait to hear all about it.
Thank you for the
You're
chance.
welcome.
I already feel like I'm a member of SBWF.
You are a member.
Hello. I love the support.
Absolutely. The girls are saying happy Thanksgiving. They're so excited about seeing you every week. So we will see you on the next one. You girls keep staying strong, keep loving strong, keep supporting one another through this journey, because you're one day closer to all being behind you. Lots of love from our hearts to yours. We'll see you guys in a couple weeks. Bye.